In this video, I'm going to talk about how I went from knowing nothing about voiceover to making over six figures in my very first year in voiceover. Why am I talking about this right now? This is actually sparked by recently there was somebody who ended up in my comments and was just, I could just feel their frustration. They were venting, they were upset, and they were talking about how pay-to-plays are oversaturated and I make it sound easy and it's not, and they didn't get results and they auditioned everywhere and their coach wasn't working either. And first off, I gotta say, if you're coaching for voiceover from someone who's not able to get work themselves, probably with the wrong coach. I'm just saying, I'm going on a limb, not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go to somebody who's a professional curler to learn how to play baseball. I'm not saying they don't know anything about voiceover, but if they're unable to get work for themselves, I don't know how they could possibly help you. Hopefully this, what I'm about to say, will help and ease some minds. When I got in, when I say first off that voiceover is easy for me, it's easy in the fact that it's not labor intensive. I work at this between 10, 12, 15 hours a day, sometimes more. I was updating my new VoiceOver Jumpstart 2.0 course for my paid community voiceover school, and I have a light version of that in my free community if you want to check it out. And I was doing that like almost no sleep over the weekend, and I only got through the first couple weeks of it, 6 weeks in total. That I also consider easy because it's something I can do. But most people, when they have extreme levels of focus, they find that very, very difficult, and rightfully so. There's so much distractions these days. When I make something sound easy, it's because it's doable. It is easy that way. If you do the work, you will get the results. But problem is, most people don't want to do the work. So when I first got into voiceover, I attacked it like everything else in my life. But I also had a huge amount of motivation. When I first got into voiceover, I lost my nightclub management job out of nowhere. And I had a brand new apartment. Well, I was renting it, and it was very expensive, the rent in Vancouver. It was nice, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have a lot of savings. Save your money. I didn't have a lot of savings. I didn't have enough to buy equipment or anything like that, so I had to rent a bunch of voiceover equipment. That's an easy way in the beginning to get some equipment without a huge expense, depending on where you live. I rented my equipment. I took cushions from my couch, and I took bedding from my bed, and I pinned it to the walls in like this sort of flex room that I had to try and make a makeshift studio. I was putting blankets over my head to record in the beginning. So it was not the prettiest studio at all, but it was workable, and it was a work in progress. And I did what I could with the time and the money I had. I had a lot of time. I just lost my job and my girlfriend right after. Job gone, girlfriend left. I had a lot of motivation to prove people wrong. So I woke up every day as early as I could, and I researched the crap out of voiceover. I did what you guys are doing right now watching this. I researched everything I could on YouTube. I scoured the internet, and I just got to work. When I started on it, I got into Fiverr first. That's where I did it at first. And I was doing $5 gigs for like 400 words to like learn how to edit and all that kind of stuff. I don't recommend that way. I think it got me some early experience for sure, but I wasn't making any money. I think the first month that I did voiceover, I made like $50 on Fiverr, and the second I think I made 200, or maybe it was like 300. But either way, I got some together, and then I just took a chance. And I put grocery money into voices.com. I didn't have a choice, so I don't recommend just quitting your job and putting like money that you would use to feed your children into voices.com. Be smart about it. I didn't have a choice, and I was also only responsible for myself. I didn't start booking right away. I did every audition that came through from morning till night. I sat in my apartment and I had all notifications set. So anytime an audition would come in, I would run to do it, because through all my research, I found that the faster you get to a job, the more likely you are to book it or get shortlisted and all that kind of stuff. But this was also at a time, and this has changed a little bit, when voices.com, they gave almost all the auditions to everybody on there. So you had more of a fair shake in the beginning. It's changed quite a bit now. When you sign up to voices.com these days, you can expect to get between 5 and 7 auditions a day. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, until you get proven in the algorithm that you can book a job, that you're getting shortlisted, all that kind of stuff. But it can change pretty quickly. I wouldn't say that it was easier back then. I just had more access to jobs in the beginning. But I was also terrible. My first demo that I put together myself, my first DIY demo, was shit. It was absolutely horrendous. It was terrible, but it was a starting point, and I was moving towards my goal. I could see the improvement in what I was doing day after day after day, just from the repetition. And I didn't just mindlessly put stuff out. I was constantly listening to commercials, and I was going to voices.com/leaderboard to see what the top leaders in like most reviews, most demo favorites, what are they putting out? What's the missing piece? What's different from what they're doing from what I'm doing? Do I sound like them? How can I improve? And I kept working at it, refining my sound and listening to commercials over and over and over, and really trying to nail down what was current at that time in voiceover, which is still the conversational read. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And I had a really good energy to my voice too. And I was really starting to hone in sounding like a human being instead of trying to sound what I think they wanted in voiceover. And then 250 auditions later, I booked my first job. And then I got another one right away. And they were like $400 each. It was like $800. They each took me about 15, 20 minutes to record. So I made like $800 in one day, and it took me under an hour. So now I was thinking, like, I was on fire. I was like, I can make $800 an hour. Of course, it doesn't really work like that. You make $800 an hour, you're a millionaire. Tell me how. But I started to get more and more consistent work, and I took that money and I saved it, and I lived like poor. Like, I was eating like canned chili over rice, like spending like $5 a day on food, maybe $10 a day, something like that. But anyway, I was a former stand-up comedian, where I was still doing stand-up comedy this time, so I was used to living really slim and not eating much and making $1 stretch. You know, the whole canned beans and chili thing and rice, and that wasn't I wasn't a stranger to that. So I took all the profits I made in voiceover, and then I put it towards coaching. I coached with Noel Johansson out of On the Mic in Vancouver, and I just took, I took about a 1 month session with him. That's all I could afford. And I immediately started getting better results. As soon as he took what I was able to figure out on my own, from, I'm talking like 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day of research and watching videos and reading blogs, not writing, but reading blogs, and really trying to hone in all the advice I heard and just letting go of stuff that didn't work for me and stuff that spoke to me, taking it in. And then Noel helped me in 4 weeks take that and refine it. And then with the more money I was making in voiceover, I put that towards a professional demo. He thought it might have been a little bit early for me, and perhaps it was, but he was a great coach and a great demo producer, and I was able to come up with something that was amazing, and it lasted me the last 7 years. I didn't get another professional demo done until just a little while ago with Mark Grau. And the reason for that is, in the beginning, we all think when we get into voiceover, getting a professional demo, that's the way to go. That's going to change everything for you, and it's just not true. Professional demo is a great calling card, and you can use it to get agents. Agents can use it to get you in with certain casting directors, and if it's a really good one and you got good visibility and a great website, it can help you get a job, but it's not the be-all end-all, which is why I only cut that one until just now, because my skills are obviously quite a bit more advanced than they were 7 years ago, but it was still a great demo. When you're starting voiceover, you want to wait as long as you can. I cut that about 4 months in. From coaching with Noel and getting that demo produced and all that, and hearing what it could sound like, it gave me the motivation to really start pushing further and further at this. And at that point, I was also able to secure another nightclub job. So I didn't go full-time right out of the gate. I mean, I was making full-time money at this point. By the time I got my professional demo done, between voices.com and Fiverr at the time, and Voice123, I was probably raking in like, I'd say $5,000-$6,000 a month at that point. And then I booked my first big job, which I got on my own. And it was a client who reached out to me and wanted me to audition. And that job was for sunny.org for Florida, Fort Lauderdale tourism. And I got paid, I think, about $25,000 US for that, which when I was in Canada at the time, you know, that's like 30,000 plus. And that was a huge eye opener right there. That was boom. That put me up to like halfway to 6 figures within like 5 months, less than a year. And then it just kind of kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And the jobs were coming in, but I was working all day, every day at this. When I wasn't auditioning, I would run out of auditions. I was doing, like, at this time, maybe like 30, 40 in a day. But I'd still run out of auditions and have time. And I would just keep making better DIY demos and listening to the leaders and voices.com and what other people were doing and trying to make more and more and more. My whole idea was just to be everywhere, be omnipresent, and have so many fucking demos on these sites that I drowned out the competition. And it worked, but also in the process of refining them and listening to old ones and trying to make better ones, I just elevated my own skill level because I was doing it consciously over and over and over and just practicing. You know, when you want to get good at something like an instrument, they always tell you, sure, get your quality teaching in when you're learning an instrument. Your voice is no different. You got to be practicing on your own. Make all the mistakes. You got to get skilled at it. Just likewise in voiceover. You know, just reading out loud, reading a script and trying to make it sound like it's coming off the top of your head and saying the words, that's a mechanical skill that you're going to get more proficient at over time if you're just doing it over and over and over and over. Is that enough? For some people it is. Some people just get it quicker. Some people need a little extra help, but you still have to do that. Having your brain fire quicker between your eyes taking in the words, filtering it through your brain, and spitting it out of your mouth like they're your own words, that's a skill that you will get better at the more you do it. And that's one of the things that helped me the most. And not being afraid to be myself, from stand-up comedy, doing that for a decade and just having so many bombing nights, eventually you just stop giving a shit and you just go up there and you start becoming yourself. And that's when you really start to fly in stand-up comedy. And I was able to take that lesson and put it towards voiceover really quickly. As soon as I started sounding conversational, I'm like, well, I'm going to say this with my own personality, because if I don't, I'm just at the mercy of whether they like my voice or not. And that's not enough, because, at the higher levels in voiceover, even at the mid levels, everybody's got a great voice. So do you really want to just be competing on that level, whether the client likes your voice or not? It's not enough. You got to have an interesting point of view and not be afraid to the way you say things or the slant you put on stuff, put your own personality into it, I guess is what I'm saying. Don't be afraid to do that. And so putting in, just to wrap this all up, because it's been going for a while, to clear 6 figures in my first year, I put everything I had into voiceover. All the time, all the money, wasn't spending shit, and I was putting it all into upgrading my equipment as soon as I could, and upgrading onto other sites, getting that demo when I was ready to get it done, getting coaching, and just investing an ungodly amount of time from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. Even when I got that other nightclub job, which allowed me some safety and allowed me to be able to make mistakes in voiceover without worrying about losing everything. Even when I got that job, I would be finishing work at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'd come home and I'd do auditions before I went to bed. And then I'd only sleep for like 4 hours and wake up and do more. I'd sleep in like shifts throughout the day. If you're interested in getting into voiceover, my income has only grown since then. A lot of people say it's oversaturated, but it's always been, you're always going to have competition. And to the people that say that pay to play is oversaturated, you clearly have no idea how many people you're up against if you go through the agent route. I have agents. When you audition when I did Backroad Truckers, I beat out 10,000 auditions. On voices.com, you're up against 100, maybe 150 if they leave it up long enough. 10,000 through an agent. The usual through an agent for a big job is probably going to be about 1,000 if you're going for like a national spot or something like that. So it's way more people, but you can make a lot more money. But you need them all. You need pay to play. This day and age in 25, you need to be on pay to play. You got to stay in touch with your clients so they'll come back to you, and you got to have an agent too. That's the plan I teach. That's the way I do it. So, to the person who wrote that comment, your frustration, I feel you. Don't study with somebody who hasn't figured it out and is having frustration themselves, because they're not going to be able to tell you anything. Go to people that, whether it's me or someone else, I don't care, but just make sure that they're working and they're of a positive mindset, and they can push you in the direction that you want to go, and they're achieving the things that you want to achieve. You can still do this. To 2025, there's more opportunities. With AI making content much easier for companies to make, there is more jobs out there. There's not less, there's more. Is there more people in voiceover these days? Yeah. The pandemic made it grow really quickly, but all the people that didn't really want to put the work in thought it was like a get rich quick kind of thing. They've all kind of fell off. You'll still get people coming in like that, but it also shows the disparity, if that's right, or the difference between like the low skill people and the high skill people. And they make you look better if you're working at your skills. So yes, you can do it. Yes, you can get to my level, but you got to put in the amount of work that I put in. I didn't do anything else. Even when I had like that other nightclub job, I didn't socialize the first year I got into this. And as soon as I was established, I chilled out and I took it a lot more easy. So if you want to know more and in the exact steps of how I do this, I have a free community. I laid it all out for you. And if you really want to go for it and you want to get the results that my students are getting, join Voiceover School. It's my paid community. You get to work with me personally. We'll answer all your questions, do live watch me works, all that kind of stuff. And put up on the screen, just showing all the booking success that we've had in this community. It's been something special, and it's actually been a year since I've had Voiceover School open now. It's grown exponentially. It's an incredible place. It's very supportive, and all we do is talk about voiceover in a positive way, and we figure it out. We don't let frustrations get to us. We try to figure everything out, and I'm still continuing to grow on my journey, and I'm going to add that more to Voiceover School, because I've always wanted to do video games and animation. I haven't been able to achieve that yet, but I'm working on it right now with Mark Grau, and we're going to put something together amazing for a new demo for that, and I'm really trying to go for it, and I'm going to document my journey, and I'm going to let you guys know about it too, so maybe I can help some of you that want to figure out animation in video games, because I practice what I preach. I stay positive, and that's one genre I haven't been able to crack. So I'm going to go at animations and video games the same way I went at commercials. Everything I got, listen to all the best people do it. How are they doing what they do? Why are they different? Why is Troy Baker, why is he so good? He's incredibly talented, but if you figure it out enough, you can figure this out. Everything in voiceover is figure outable. Figure outable. I don't know. We'll just go with that. Anyway, you need like-minded individuals. You need support. You need to get around people that are doing this or have a positive mindset and are not subscribing to the frustrations and the oversaturation and all the AI fear and all that kind of crap. The industry is just fine. It's in a great state. So get around people that are doing it for real, because what they're doing will rub off on you. All right. So that's my spiel. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little insight to my process, and I got some more exciting news coming up. So stay tuned to the channel and subscribe so you don't miss it. All right. So that's all for this one. See you in the next one. Peace. Oh, and check the links below if you want to find a ways to work with me. They're down below, somewhere down there. All right. Bye.